Well, hello, everybody. Ken Johnson here with you, and we're about to see a big change in the weather pattern across the country. So far this winter, the weather patterns in the U.S. have really not featured many big winter storms or many big cold Arctic outbreaks. That cold Arctic air has been sitting across the polar regions of the world up in Canada, but things are about to change. So what we want to do is we want to look at the overall weather pattern here, and we're looking at pressure. And when you see large areas of high pressure building in, especially from up here, up into the Arctic regions, northwest Canada, that indicates large areas of high pressure and indicates really, really cold air. Of course, the blue would be low pressure. This yellow and orange color would be high pressure. Remember again, Arctic air, big cold Arctic air masses are associated with large areas of high pressure. And look at how this is just going to continue to pour down into the country. You got several waves, several large highs building in from the Arctics. And this is just into the latter part of the weekend, and this continues into a good part of next week. So what all this means is it's about to get cold over a good part of the country. We can check out those temperatures. Look at how cold it is. These purple colors, magenta colors, represents temperatures well below zero up here in Canada. And look at how it just drops to the south as we head into the January 4th, 5th time frame. First of all, it kind of forms up here in the middle and upper part of the country. Down south, we see still mild weather into Saturday. But we're going to watch this area. There's a kind of a zone right in here. There's a transition zone, and this is where the storm track's going to be. North of that storm track, we're going to see wintry precipitation this weekend. South of it, we see wet weather and maybe some stormy weather too. You can see as that little system little wave pushes on by, how it begins to tap into that Arctic air. And by early next week, and I think for most of next week, the deep freeze across a good part of the country, coldest weather by far we've seen so far this winter season. It still looks to me like the absolute coldest weather will be in the middle and upper part of the country here. The south too will also be very cold, but maybe not quite as cold as it is to the north. And this is going to stick around again for a good part of next week. The question is, will we see winter precipitation also across the south? Well, let's try to talk more about that. The first thing we're going to look at is the weekend storm system here. We're tracking two potential winter weather events over the next week. This is the first one. This is pretty much a done deal here. But the positions on things could change a bit. It was looking like there could be a pretty significant ice storm northern Arkansas, southern parts of Missouri, but some latest information is a little further north with that storm track, and that might push the ice and snow a little further north, and may push the rain line a little further north as well. So right now, to me, it looks like the best chances for ice over the weekend would be across parts of central, maybe southern Missouri into Illinois, parts of Kentucky, and up into Ohio and Indiana, those areas. On the south side of that, in the warm area, could be some severe weather across parts of the deep south. I'm talking about Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana, East Texas. A lot of tornadoes last weekend. I don't know that we'll see a severe weather event of that magnitude again, but there still could be quite a bit of severe weather on especially Saturday and the Sunday across some of those areas. Then on the back side of it, there comes that Arctic air on Sunday plunging across the central and southern part of the country. That includes Kansas, Oklahoma, down into Texas, and even down into the deep, deep south. So this is winter storm number one. You can see the pink colors and those white colors. Those represent the ice and the snow. The blue on my at least color palette here represents rain. And this is Sunday at 4 a.m. Notice how it's mostly rain in Oklahoma, all of Arkansas now, and even some of the southern parts of Missouri and southeastern Kansas. So a little bit warmer on some of the later runs that's coming in now. But you can still see some significant icing throughout the day, especially Sunday morning. Places like St. Louis, Missouri, maybe south of Kansas City, with snow north of there. And on the back side of that, pretty significant snow across Kansas and northern parts of Missouri into Iowa, and then in parts of Illinois, ice and snow. And that spreads over into Kentucky and Indiana and parts of Ohio. But again, points to the south that were earlier thinking ice may just be rain now. So we'll keep an eye on that. So that's storm system number one. We'll have some updates on that again tomorrow. This is number two. Remember, the cold air is in place now. And what I'm watching with this cold air in place will be an piece of energy digging in on the backside of the Arctic air, kind of dropping south to the Rocky Mountain states. Now, if this storm system kind of drops south and then moves more north and east, a little further north than south, that is, I'm talking about moves further into Texas, that's going to increase the chances for a winter storm across a larger area. I'm talking about it could increase a winter storm threat across most of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and maybe even the deep south. But if the storm system dives in and it forms a little further south, then it might keep the moisture more confined to the Gulf Coast. Too early to say for sure if that's going to happen or not. Let's put this in motion. This is the afternoon run of the American GFS computer model. The morning runs of the European kind of showed this too, and the trends have been, and in general, when you're tracking these things, usually what happens, they have kind of a bit of a southern bias, the weather models that is. And then as you get closer and closer to the event, it begins to back it up a little bit further to the north. So this would be that piece of energy dropping south Tuesday into Wednesday of next week. Initially, just that piece of energy would trigger some light snow across the area, with it being really cold here. And then as it gets into the latter periods, I'm talking about Wednesday and Thursday, and again, this is a week away. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but it's something I'm watching in trends. Look at all the snow, winter weather that's breaking out across a good part of the southern plain states. On this particular run, the storm center is a little bit further north. It's developing down here in the Gulf or southeast Texas, and that would put the area further north, back into Texas, more in a favorable area to see what would mostly be snow, and there'd be a transition area somewhere here that would perhaps be some ice across deep south Texas. And this scenario might even produce a winter storm across the deep south, maybe into parts of Louisiana, maybe Mississippi. But look at all that snow further north into Texas, covering Arkansas, northern Louisiana, most of Oklahoma. This would be a large winter storm if this were to take place. Maybe ending perhaps about this time next week, maybe late Thursday night maybe. Too early to say how much would fall, too early to even say if this would even happen. But if this scenario played out, then a large area would see a fairly significant winter storm middle and latter parts of next week. Weather information has been a bit inconsistent with this, but we're watching the trends closely. And if these trends continue, we may need to start zoning in on some of these areas here a little bit more closely and getting a little bit more intense with the wording here, Of course, it's too early to say how much should fall, and I know a lot of people on social media, I got a doctor's appointment or something on Wednesday and Thursday. How much snow are we going to get? Do I need to cancel? I cannot answer any of those for you at this point in time. Now, somebody also asked me on social media here earlier today, some of the amateur weather people out there on YouTube and TikTok, Facebook, whatnot, there's a bunch of them out there, a mere dime a dozen, have been talking about this for days now. Well, yeah, I've seen that information. But remember, those guys, they're not educated. They're having fun with what they may be weather enthusiasts and just showing excitement, showing you what they want to show, or they may be somebody trying to just get clicks and likes and follows. Remember, the more views and shares they get, the more these algorithms push it out there and share it with everybody and their brother, and that's how they make money. They can make a lot of money. Those guys on YouTube making a lot of money off this stuff. But for somebody like that, they don't have to worry about their credibility. They're just going to throw out stuff, and it doesn't matter. They don't really know how weather computer models really work. To somebody educated like myself, we know that you have to watch them and watch the trends, because this has been back and forth. It showed it like several days ago, and then for several days completely took it away. Now it's showing it back. So you watch the trends to see how well the models are handling the situation. And then once you determine how well it is, and you can start getting more confident, then you can start putting stuff out there. That's what an educated, trained meteorologist does, as opposed to the amateur guys that are out there. I mean, those guys want to do it, more power to them. But, I'm going to continue to do what I do and try to give you the best, most accurate forecast as I can. And if it does indeed look like it's something we need to worry about, it's something we need to get excited about, I'm going to let you know. As of right now, it's just a wait-and-see kind of situation, and I'll know more in the days ahead. Everybody, I hope you had a great New Year, and Happy New Year to you. And I hope your 2025 is better than your 2024.